Hi, I'm Derek, and today I'm going to be talking about PunchKeep. PunchKeep is going to be making a scheduling application which helps organizers of mid-sized teams and larger efficiently plan and coordinate the efforts of their subordinates. How do they efficiently plan the efforts of their subordinates? Um, First, imagine that you're a new employee at some generic retailer. Sometime during the onboarding process, you would have been given link to a website you'll never use again. You'll create an account with a password that you'll never remember, and you'll put your shift availability into some kind of drop down manual selection table. Your manager will then have access to this information, and they will now have to schedule your shifts as well as the shifts of possibly hundreds of other employees. So, how can we use generic modern technologies to streamline this process? Well, first, you could imagine that the company provides a link to this website so that you have it readily accessible and you're able to give your availability using the same sort of click and drag interface as any modern calendar application. Your manager could then do the same thing. They can create a master schedule deciding how many people need to be available, and rather than filling in the information manually, the scheduler can create a schedule based on everyone's listed preferences, and the manager can then review and approve that schedule. Or maybe you get the employees involved. Maybe you provide the master schedule and crowdsource filling in the shifts. You leave it up to the employees to volunteer themselves for specific shifts. Now, whatever the process, ideally it would be as straightforward and simple as making any other changes to a personal calendar. It should be very straightforward and simple. Now, why is this a problem worth solving? Why is this not just a minor business inconvenience? If you look at the retail business, roughly 10% of revenue goes to labor costs. Labor is the second biggest expense behind purchases, and this is true for the $500 billion business of Walmart. This is true for your local convenience or grocery store. This is hundreds of billions of dollars in hourly wages being paid out. So anything which has a measurable impact on labor costs is saving immense amounts of money. Now, how do we capture some of that value? We would be selling the value of convenience both for the managers and employees. It would be making the job of the manager to create a schedule significantly easier. And more than that, it would make it easy for employees to update their preferences or swap shifts or request time off. And they would be able to do this without having a one-on-one conversation with their manager. Those sorts of one-on-one conversations are generally inefficient, and they happen every day, everywhere across the country. There are more efficient asynchronous ways that information can be conveyed. People can do this over texting and the internet. They don't need to have a one-on-one conversation with their manager, who's typically very busy and responsible for many other tasks. So we would be selling this sort of product to small and medium businesses, businesses which have enough employees that scheduling becomes complex and difficult to do manually. So some shops might still be doing this by hand. They may never have had software which automates this process, or maybe the company does have enterprise software designed for this, but it's sufficiently bad that it's still easier to perform this process manually. In those cases, we would be providing a good user interface, something which people are actually able to use, and something which is convenient. Convenient meaning people actually use it, which means people save time. The features of this software would be built using cloud vendors. It would be built using web hosting services and SMS messaging services. Now, those sorts of services have recurring costs, but that would really be the only cost of business aside from the software development itself. And ideally, once there's a standard product, that product can be delivered as a free trial to customers, and then customers can sample the software for themselves and decide for themselves if the value is worth the price. Assuming they are willing to pay for the software, they can then transition to a monthly subscription fee. And a monthly subscription fee is the perfect sort of model for this business because the companies don't need to pay the large upfront cost for software. They can essentially give the software an indefinite trial run.